Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the MA10 TV. I'm your host, Muhammad Ali, also known as H-Town.Ref, guys. And if you're watching us for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And to get into today's video, we've got a good one because we're going to talk about three main things. Number one, Mohamed Salah and his situation at Liverpool. We're going to talk about the World Cup draws and everything that happened around that event. And of course, we're going to talk about Lionel Messi's MLS Championship triumph, all in this episode of MA10 TV. Let's get into it, guys. All right, so let's start on the topic of Mo Salah first of all, because what's happening to him in Liverpool is nothing short of disgraceful, in my opinion. And obviously, the whole mechanism of Liverpool, like Jamie Carragher, Arne Slot, I'm sure the board is involved now as well, I'm pretty sure are in agreement on how they want to do this. Why? Because in January, he signed a £400,000 a week contract when he single-handedly delivered a Premier League title to Liverpool. And even at that time, Mo Salah was in the last few months of his contract. He did not know if he was going to get a new contract for Liverpool. So they were already disrespecting him, I would say, in that regard. And obviously, it became obvious that they're going to win the Premier League and they have to give Mo Salah a contract, and they can't sell him to Saudi because he's in the final few months. They won't make any money. So they gave him the 20 million a year contract, which he definitely earned. And there's no doubt about it. And now, obviously, the new season starts and their multi-million-pound team is not responding. Isak, Wirtz, all these guys that they've got in, they're not performing, and neither is Salah. But the trick out of the Man United playbook, like Cristiano Ronaldo, they're like, okay, let's single out the older senior player, the star player, and just put it all on his shoulders and blame him for the poor form that my team is. That's what Arne Slot is doing, in my opinion. And then obviously Jamie Carragher opening his mouth and obviously chatting shit, which he does usually, not always, but usually, and calling him and saying that Mo Salah was a nobody before he joined Liverpool. What do you mean? Kevin De Bruyne was a Chelsea failure, went to Wolfsburg, came back to City, and became one of the best midfielders of all time. What's your point, man? Because Mo Salah, before he joined Liverpool, hadn't won a Premier League for almost 30 years. And then after Mo Salah and 250 goals plus 100 plus assists, Liverpool now have 2 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and every other intercontinental competition. That is more than anything that you have ever done in your career, Jamie Carragher, first of all. And then second of all, this is the Liverpool team that's calling Salah and his behavior disgraceful. This is the same team that made Isak go through one of the most humiliating and one of the most disgraceful transfer sagas of all time, making him literally shit on his previous club. And you know, the result of that has been even poor because everything that surrounded this, it seems like Isak is not in the right headspace to perform at all for Liverpool. So, you know, I would say if this was I think a lot of people have actually said this online, if this was a Harry Kane, if this, you know, even is a Haaland right now, all these players who gain reputations, Mo Salah has done more and more than any other Premier League player that has played now or before. And has he received the same accolades, the same level of reputation? I don't think so. And I think a big part of that would be that his name is Mohamed Salah and that he's from Egypt and he plays in the AFCON. And also the AFCON thing is hilarious when they bring on that, oh, he's not a great because he hasn't won anything with Egypt in the AFCON. At one point, the AFCON is not put as a high-level tournament, and on the other hand, that's what they're using to measure his greatness. I think it's an absolutely just a blatant attack on Mohamed Salah, and I think what they really want is that in January they can get a good sizable bid from Saudi to take a player away, and that they can cash out on that contract that they've offered him over the next 2 years. So that's how I look at this situation. I think Liverpool has no right to claim that they are this classy, tradition-based club. You'll never walk alone, all this type of shit. bullshit, I would say. Their academy graduate that won them everything alongside Salah was basically booed out of Liverpool for joining one of the greatest teams of all time after he delivered everything to Liverpool. So I think unfair, but let's move on. I think that's what I think about this Mo Salah situation. Jamie Carragher, if you've done half of what he's done in your career, maybe you would have, some room to speak, but I don't think the way he's going out to attack him, I think it's completely unfair. All right, but that's enough about Mohamed Salah. We are going to now look at the World Cup and the World Cup draws that happened very recently. And why are we looking at this? Because 12 groups with 4 teams each, 48 teams in total. Now, I support the fact that we have a bigger World Cup and that more countries get an opportunity, and I might even support the fact to make it even a bigger tournament to 64 so that even more teams can come and play. But the reality is, what that does is the groups that we got are pretty shit. There's no doubt about it. Now, the best group, in my opinion, that we can find or pick out is maybe Group H of Spain, which has Uruguay in it, the only group that has sort of like 2 teams with a bit of a reputation in the World Cup. Saudi is in that group, so Saudi and Spain is an interesting matchup in my opinion, I'm not gonna lie. Besides that, we can pick out a few fixtures, maybe like Group I, we got France and Norway in the same group, so Holland versus Mbappe. I guess that's a little exciting. I would say maybe to really pick something out, like, Iran versus Egypt, like 2 Muslim countries, Sunni versus Shia. I mean, I'm literally trying to pick exciting fixtures out because there aren't that many. There's no real history in these because, there's so many teams and they've been split. And this, England and Croatia is a bit of a decent group, I know. But like as a total group, it's Ghana and Panama. It is what it is. The draws are, the ceremony itself, I think, was nice, I would say. The celebrities and the show that they put on. What, all these organizations need to know is that Rio Ferdinand is the most cringe person on the internet or in the football world right now. Like, stop giving this guy the platform of a live event or anything, because this guy is so freaking cringe. I mean, his response to has he scored against Casillas ever, and he gets offended that, oh, I'm a defender, what do you mean? Don't ask me that question. It's so weird. I mean, if you already remember his antics on social media with his, I'm not gonna walk over the Real Madrid logo, all that type of stuff. So Rio Ferdinand obviously stood out in that draw. Besides that, I mean, Kevin Hart, Shaq coming and doing their thing. You're big, I'm small. All that is fun, whatever. But I think the things that actually stood out was the draws of the leaders of the nations, which was hilarious because I think FIFA has finally confirmed the conspiracy that the hot ball in the pot is a real thing, because all 3 leaders pick out their own country's names in the pot for the draw, and that can't happen. Come on, like, these balls have to be heated or something, and now we know that happened here and might have happened in the past. Maybe, we don't know, but they just sort of confirmed that for us. Now, another interesting thing that has happened, and this is really interesting, the FIFA Ethics Committee has opened an investigation on the president of FIFA, Gianni Infantino, for breaching rules of political neutrality for giving the award to President Donald J. Trump for the Peace Prize and all that. Come on. You guys know that the president of FIFA has been a hostage to the White House for almost a year now because, Trump does what he wants. I mean, we remember Chelsea's World Cup final trophy lift where Trump was like, I'm not going to move, bro. Lift your thing, do whatever. I'm not going to move. And they were like, okay. And they knew that they can't do nothing about it because they have to host the main World Cup a year later, and you need the support of the White House to make it happen and to make it happen the best way possible. And what Gianni has been doing, in my opinion, is just being very diplomatic, and he has figured out how to make Trump happy, like most people have. And he gave him a FIFA Peace Prize award with a trophy that only Trump would want, I would say, big gold with his name on it. And Trump obviously didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, so he was like, let me go to FIFA and demand a peace prize for, whatever. And come on, FIFA, do you guys want the World Cup in the US or not? If you do want it, then you got to play ball with Trump. That's just how it is. And Gianni Infantino obviously realized that with his time with the president. And but I think that was hilarious. I mean, it's stupid. Don't get me wrong. It's stupid for the president of the United States to do all that, but it's very entertaining. You can't really disagree with that. Another thing that happened, and it caught my attention like this, because the second I saw it, I was like, my God, this is a huge problem. Lionel Scaloni, the manager of Argentina, holding champions of the World Cup, walks in with the World Cup trophy with gloves on his hands, which is a rule. Like, not everybody can touch the FIFA World Cup trophy. Only the leaders of the state and the winners of the trophy and the part of the team are allowed to hold the trophy with their hands. Other people have to either hold it with gloves or not hold it at all. Now, you remember Salt Bay obviously held the trophy, the World Cup, in Argentina's win, and it was a huge thing. And I'm sure because of that, somebody put gloves on Scaloni, and then FIFA later had to apologize because this is the manager of the world champions right now, and this guy has more right than anybody else to hold the trophy with his hands with no gloves. So big disgrace, I would say, from whoever was behind that. Talking about disgrace, another big news that came out for the FIFA World Cup. I understand it's in the US, it's June, the weather is going to be there, but there are going to be hydration breaks after 22 minutes of each half. High school kids, middle school kids have come to and told me that, hey, we don't want hydration break. We can play and, go through this. Like, we're tough. So 3-minute hydration breaks in the FIFA World Cup. 22 minutes of each game. It's annoying. You guys don't believe it, but like when we'll see the World Cups and we'll see these breaks, they're gonna be annoying. I think maybe one hydration break in the whole game maybe makes sense or whatever, but this is a little too much. I don't know what you guys think about it. I know the player safety is a thing and all that, but I think the player safety sort of goes out the door when you're playing, when you keep on increasing the sizes of the tournaments and, make them play, 3 matches a week. I think that's the thing that would affect their fitness and all that, not these 3-minute hydration breaks that we usually give out to kids. But we're still going to talk about disgraceful behavior in the World Cup because people are starting to explore the options of buying World Cup tickets and trying to look into what they can afford and not. And what people have found out is that they can't afford jack shit. They can't afford any of it. And they can't afford to sit in a nosebleed. The worst seat in the house is going to go for at least $700 to $800 a seat per ticket. So, I mean, I understand this is the US, the market is huge, you have to maybe price some people out or, price control some of it, but this is just ridiculous. Who can afford $800 per seat for a nosebleed? And this is for a group stage game. Mind me that, like, if you were talking about any knockout round or any of that, those are in the thousands. And I'm talking, like, think of a family, for example. A family of 4 would want to go and watch a group stage game in the World Cup. They have to pay like $4,000 for that. So, I mean, this is the FIFA World Cup. This is the people's game. And the people are just not gonna have the access to it. And I think it's disgraceful. I think FIFA knew that people are looking at this ticket thing. They know that these ticket sellers, overprice these tickets, and that's always a challenge, and they didn't do anything about it. And unfortunately, that's the case right now for the World Cup. The tickets are extremely pricey. Just to sort of end the World Cup talk, what we are seeing, and hopefully, and I really hope for football's sake, it happens. Neymar is fighting day and night in Brazil to make sure that he not only gets into that Brazilian national team, but he leads them to the World Cup success. It would be a great story if Neymar can do that. Obviously, the lost potential of Neymar, we know about it. But if he can deliver the Brazilian team a World Cup, after how long it has been since Brazil won the World Cup, how irrelevant they're becoming in the World Cup as well. If Neymar can sort of come through, control his injuries and be fit for the World Cup. I think to have Messi, Ronaldo, and Neymar play in that final World Cup, I think it would be everything for the fans of the 2000s and the 2010s. And I think very hopeful that Neymar can pull through and play in the World Cup and remains fit during the World Cup. That's very important. All right, guys, and to end today's video, we have to talk about the guy who has made a habit of exceeding expectations only. And of course, we're talking about Lionel Messi winning the MLS championship for Inter Miami and 35 goals and 24 assists. Those are the numbers that Messi has put in the MLS campaign in 2025, just by the way. So if he wins the World Cup, guys, if he wins the World Cup again somehow, even though it's very hard, I would say, to retain for Argentina of all teams, but if he wins it, then number 9 Ballon d'Or is gonna come, and you guys can't do nothing about it, because being an MLS champion with 35 goals and 24 assists and then going on to winning the World Cup, and if your name is Lionel Messi, you're gonna win that number 9th Ballon d'Or, and then the number 10th is gonna be the Super Ballon d'Or, and then that way Messi's number 10 and 10 Ballon d'Ors would be complete, and the script writers, if there are any, they have showed us their cards already. So I'm just giving you guys a bit of a disclaimer, a bit of a warning that this could happen, and when it happens, you guys can't complain, because you know the 35 goals, 24 assists, that's what, like 59 goal contributions, maybe with club and country, 60 plus in the age of 38. Come on, that's Lionel Messi for you. But guys, that's our video for today. Let me know what you guys think about the Mo Salah situation at Liverpool. Let me know what you guys think about the World Cup, the 48 teams, the group stages that we have. What do you think about the Trump's Peace Prize and the tickets, of course, the frustration of the World Cup tickets? What do you guys think about that? And of course, let me know what you guys think of Lionel Messi's MLS championship. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel MA10 TV here on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram on MA10 TV as well. htown.ref on TikTok. And I hope to catch you guys very soon. Thank you so much.